Well, good morning. This morning we have another segment of our Meet the Candidate series here in Ventura County, and we are privileged to have Orlando Dozier, candidate for Oxnard Harbor Commissioner. So Orlando, before we start with some of the things of today, start off as where you were brought up in family, education, and all the important facts that you'd like our viewing audience to know about you.
Okay, thank you, and good morning. My name is Orlando Dozier. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, grew up in a very big Navy town, Navy community, and that was one of the reasons why I decided to join the Air Force. And that was because I felt if I joined the Navy, I would never leave Norfolk, or I would eventually come back there, so I wanted to see some of the world. Joined the Air Force, did 20 years. Didn't plan on it, but I left college. I had started college, and I went into the Air Force with the intent of doing some traveling and finishing up my degree. And I gave myself 6 years to do it. 6 years later, I was in Germany having fun and had taken maybe one class. So it took me a little longer to finish my degree. I finally did finish it. And I finished 20 years in the Air Force. When I retired out at Vandenberg, and I transitioned over into corporate America and worked for Lockheed Martin for 7 years. That was very fun. I'm a vested employee, so I didn't completely burn my bridges. But I learned a lot from seeing how the government works, or how government contractors, defense contractors, provide the service they do to the military. I also learned how the corporate structure works, and I use those skills to this day. 7 years after that, I transitioned into the GS system, which is what I currently do. I'm a program analyst at Fort Manini. I graduated from the University of Maryland. They have a campus and sites located throughout Europe. So while I was in the military, I finished up my degree there. Have a wife, been married for 23 years. We've known each other for 30 years. We have a 15-year-old son who goes to Rio Mesa. And we've been in the local area now for about 8 years.
And you've been pretty active in the local community. I know that
Yes.
you are at city council meetings very often.
Yes, and I ran for city council 2 years ago, and then I also ran in the special election. I like to stay active because when we moved to Oxnard, we moved into the River Park community. So it was at a time when, before the collection was stood up, and there were a lot of special amendment change requests that the developer was putting forward before city council. And that's what kind of drew me into local politics, because there were so many times where there was no voice for the residents, for the homeowners at these council meetings, and no one was really looking at how these specific amendment plan changes would impact the local community. So that pulled me into local politics. And
Okay, and then, after, and I remember 2 years ago, as when you ran, and we did an interview similar to this, now you've chosen to run for Harbor Commissioner. Is there a reason that you've changed, the plan from a city government type thing to something maybe a little bit bigger in scope?
right. Yes, like I said, I got into local politics. In those two campaigns, I got to know a lot of the fellow candidates, a lot of the local city leadership, and I could see the change that the last election brought about with a new mayor, some new council members. They just recently brought on a new city manager. So I feel like there's a team in place now to answer and to keep the progression in the city of Oxnard moving forward. But to continue with that progress, I think that residents like myself or average citizens, we have to also look at the other local governing bodies that impact our community. And that could be the school board and the Oxnard Harbor Commission. That's one of the reasons why I'm running for Harbor Commission, because I feel that that is another area that greatly impacts our community in the form of commuting, jobs, and traffic, and so forth.
Okay, so as a summation, okay, if you were elected Harbor Commissioner, what would you hope to accomplish as a new commissioner?
Well, my primary goal would be to provide a voice and a medium for the local residents to make sure that the business decisions that are made take into consideration their concerns. The Harbor Commission is a governing body that was set up basically by the state to run state-owned property. The harbor belongs to the state and the city or the district itself. It functions purely off of profits that it makes. They have a fantastic corporate structure there. They have a great CEO with staff, and those guys know what they're doing. They know their business. They make considerable profits, and they keep things, the operation is running fine. It's the commissioners that I have an issue with, because they're supposed to be there to represent the residents that are directly impacted, the residents that live in the district, which is Oxnard and Fort Hueneme, and that's what I would plan on being. I would plan on being a representative where I would go out and listen to the residents. I know a lot of the input that they have wouldn't have too much effect on the operations, but if a decision is being made that's going to increase the traffic in front of someone's house, I think that needs to be considered.
Well said, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, appreciate
It's
it.
another version of Meet the Candidate.
Thank you.